We built a small swing for our daughter between two trees. It was her peaceful place. The neighbor complained it was encouraging loitering. Days later, the swing was cut. The rope burned. In its place, a toy phone hung from the branches, with a recording on loop that said, "You're not wanted here." When we called the police, they said it was weird but not illegal. So my daughter took matters into her own hands. She recorded a video, telling her story. It went viral overnight. And the next day, reporters were at our door. The neighbor? Gone. We moved to Jamestown, New York 6 years ago thinking we were doing something good. We wanted quiet. A safe place. Space for our daughter to grow up without all the noise and concrete of the city. The house we bought was a 1950s split level. Yellow siding, big windows, creaky floors. But the best part? The two massive oak trees out in the side yard. I saw them the first time we toured the place and said, "We'll hang a swing between those someday." Claire smiled and said, "Only if it's one of the wooden ones." When Ava turned 5, she asked for that swing. Not a store-bought one. Not some colorful plastic thing. She wanted a storybook swing. The kind like kids in old movies have, she said. So I made one. Spent a whole weekend on it. Sanded the seat down smooth, drilled 2 holes, and threaded heavy-duty climbing rope through it. I made sure it was safe. I even tested it myself. I'm 180 pounds. If it held me, I knew it could hold her. The first time she sat on it, she kicked off with her feet and just laughed. Claire stood on the porch recording. Ava's hair blew behind her, and she sang one of those little kid songs while swinging higher and higher. Every day after school, same routine. She'd come home, drop her backpack by the door, grab an apple, and head straight for the swing. She'd sit for an hour sometimes, just reading her books out loud or watching the sky. I called it her thinking spot. That swing became her favorite place in the world. But not everyone liked it. Margaret lived across the street. Gray-haired. Always in the same tan windbreaker. Never saw her with company. Never smiled. Never waved. Just stood on her porch, or near her hedges with this bitter look like everyone around her was ruining her life. The first time she said something, Ava was swinging and I was raking leaves. Margaret walked over slowly, each step deliberate like she wanted to be noticed. She didn't say hello. She just stood near the edge of our yard and said, "This isn't a park. You're encouraging loitering." I looked at her, confused. "She's 6. She's playing in our yard." She narrowed her eyes. "You think it starts like this? Then the noise. Then strangers. Then vandalism. She's 6. I repeated. "What exactly do you think she's going to vandalize?" "She doesn't belong here," she said. And then she turned around and walked away. That stuck with me. "She doesn't belong here," I told Claire later. Claire wanted to call the police right then and there. But I told her not to. "We're not starting a war with a lonely old woman," I said. That was mistake number 1. A week later, Ava came inside and said, "The mean lady is taking pictures of me." I looked out and saw Margaret standing on her porch, phone in hand, aimed straight at Ava's swing. She didn't even pretend to hide it. Just held the phone up like a statue. I walked outside and stood on the edge of the lawn. She saw me. She lowered the phone, turned her back, and went inside. No words. No explanation. I wanted to march over and ask what her problem was. Claire begged me to. But again I held off. "She's just weird," I said. "She's not doing anything, yet." Then came Sunday morning. It was cold but sunny. Ava was still in her pajamas when she ran outside. Not even 10 seconds later, we heard her scream. Claire dropped her coffee. I sprinted to the door. Ava was standing in the yard pointing. The swing was gone. The ropes had been slashed. One of them was burned black, melted ends hanging loose from the branch. The seat, snapped in half, lay broken in the dirt. You could still see smoke rising from a small pile of ashes under the tree. And tied to the branch where the swing had been, a red plastic toy phone. The kind toddlers play with. It was talking. A robotic voice repeated, "You're not wanted here." Over and over. I ripped it down. It kept playing. I smashed it against the ground until it stopped. Claire was crying. Ava wasn't crying though, she just stared at the mess. Completely still. We called the police. They showed up 45 minutes later. 2 officers, one sipping an iced coffee like this was just another boring call. We told them everything, how Margaret had been watching our daughter, recording her, threatening us in her own quiet way. The phone message. The swing being cut down and burned. They took a few photos. Walked around. Then one of them looked at me and said, This is definitely strange. But nothing illegal. I couldn't believe it. She's targeting our child. Claire snapped. The officer just shrugged. Unless you have her on video doing it or she makes a direct threat to your daughter's face, there's not much we can do. That night was the quietest our house had ever been. Claire and I didn't sleep. Ava didn't eat dinner. She just sat at the kitchen table, drawing in silence. The next morning, she came to us with an idea. Can I use the old iPad? She asked. I want to say something. Claire and I looked at each other. We didn't say no. We found the iPad, wiped it off, set it up on a small tripod. Ava dragged out a folding chair and set it right where her swing used to be. She sat down, facing the camera. No script. No prep. Just a kid with something to say. My name is Ava, she said. I had a swing here. It was my favorite place. She told the whole story. From her point of view. About the angry lady across the street. About the phone. About the message that said she wasn't wanted. She held up the broken rope. Then the scorched piece of cedar. Then Claire played the recording we'd saved of the toy phone's message. You're not wanted here. Then Ava said. I'm 7 years old. I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted to swing. Why would someone hate that? She stood up and turned off the camera. Claire uploaded the video to YouTube. Title: To the woman who cut down my swing that night. The video had 3,000 views. By the next night, it had over 50,000. People started sharing it everywhere. Twitter, Reddit, Facebook. Comments poured in. You're not alone, Ava. I hope that neighbor gets what's coming to her. This made me cry. I had a swing like that once. By day 3, the video hit 2 million views. That's when the news trucks showed up. Reporters knocking at our door. Local stations. National ones. Everyone wanted to meet the girl with the swing. But there was something else too. Margaret? Gone. Her house sat dark. Her mailbox overflowed. A for sale sign went up a few days later. We thought it was over. Margaret disappeared so fast it didn't feel real. One day the lights in her house were on, the next they were out for good. Her car vanished from the driveway. Nobody saw her leave. No moving trucks. No goodbye. Just a dark porch and silence. At first, it felt like a victory. Claire finally slept. Ava smiled again. I put up a new swing, same wooden seat, new rope, even stronger than before. Ava walked out to it like she was visiting an old friend. She swung in silence that first time, then whispered. She's not here anymore. We all breathed easier. For about a week. Then something strange happened. Claire got a letter. No return address. Just a white envelope, slid into our mailbox. Inside, a single photo. It was the swing. Our swing. Taken from behind the trees, from the angle of someone who had to be on our property. On the back, in shaky handwriting. Still watching. Claire dropped it like it burned her fingers. We called the police again. This time they took it more seriously. The video had gone viral. Everyone knew our story. They sent a different officer, younger, more alert. He took the photo, asked real questions, promised to have the area patrolled. But what could they do? No cameras. No witnesses. No fingerprints. Margaret was gone. But someone wasn't. I installed motion sensor lights and 2 security cameras. One facing the street, the other on the side yard where the swing hung. Every night I checked the footage. Most of the time, raccoons, wind, shadows. Then one night around 2 a.m., the street-facing camera caught something. A figure. Short, maybe 5'2". Hooded. Walking slowly past the house, then stopping at the edge of the yard. They stood there for almost 10 minutes. Didn't move. Just stared. Then walked away. The next morning, Ava found something in the mailbox. A tiny notebook. One page ripped out. On it, a crude drawing of a swing. Underneath, the words. She'll fall eventually. Claire lost it. We kept Ava home from school for 2 days. She didn't fight it. She knew what was going on. That night, I posted the camera footage online. It blew up instantly. Everyone started digging. Comments filled with people trying to ID the stalker. Theories ranged from Margaret coming back in disguise to someone copying her tactics for attention. Then we got a call. From a woman in Buffalo who said she knew Margaret. Said her real name was Margaret Fanning, but she used to go by Maggie Rivers. Used to work as a preschool teacher. Got fired after a situation involving a child and an unauthorized punishment. The woman said, She's not just bitter. She's dangerous. Claire sat on the floor after that call, holding Ava's old backpack to her chest. "We should leave," she said. "We need to go somewhere safe." But Ava didn't agree. She stood in the doorway, small but fierce, and said, "If we leave, she wins." So I started watching the footage more closely. I reviewed hours of clips, freezing every frame of anyone walking past our street. I posted stills online, hoping someone would recognize a coat, a posture, anything. Then came the night the toy phone came back. Same model. Same fake buttons. Same voice. Left on our porch. No note this time. Just a message on loop. "You're not wanted here." But this time the voice was different. Not robotic. It was Ava's voice. We recognized it instantly. It was taken from her video. Someone had clipped her line, distorted it slightly, and played it back like a threat. Claire broke down right there. I held the phone in my hands, shaking. I knew what I had to do. I walked straight into the garage, grabbed the same cedar wood I used to make Ava's swing, and started carving something new. Not for Ava this time. For Margaret. And whoever else thought it was okay to scare a kid. The cedar I had left wasn't much, but it was enough. I didn't tell Claire or Ava what I was building. Not yet. I wanted it done first. I wanted it solid. I wanted it ready. That night, I stayed in the garage until 3 a.m. sanded the wood. Screwed metal hinges into place. Wired a small motion detector inside the frame. I wasn't building a swing this time. I was building a decoy. A bait. And a camera trap. I painted it the same color as Ava's swing. Hung it in the exact spot. Same ropes. Same knots. Everything matched. But here's the trick. This one had a hidden camera drilled into the bottom of the seat. It connected to a drive I hid inside the tree trunk, wrapped in plastic, battery-powered. Then I waited. We told Ava it was a new swing, just like before. She nodded, didn't smile. She didn't ask why I kept checking the trees every hour. 3 nights passed. Nothing. Then on the 4th, around 1:17 a.m., the alert hit my phone. Motion detected. Side yard. I pulled up the feed. Someone was there. Not just walking by this time. They were in the yard. Right under the tree. Reaching for the swing. I couldn't see their face from the camera on the porch, but the one in the swing? It got everything. They had gloves. A hoodie. But the hood slipped off when they leaned forward to cut the rope. It wasn't Margaret. It was someone younger, a man. Maybe late 20s, early 30s. Pale. Nervous hands. He moved fast, like he knew he didn't have much time. He pulled something from his jacket, another toy phone. Just like the last one. I didn't wait. I grabbed the bat by the door and went out barefoot. He heard me before I got close. Took off through the side hedge. Jumped over the stone border and vanished into the dark. But not before I got a glimpse of his face. Long, narrow, patchy beard. Glasses. I called the police. This time they came quick. And for once, the camera worked in our favor. The officer who showed up was young, smart, and pissed. He watched the footage, rewound, zoomed in, and said, "I know that guy." Turns out the man in the video lived 1 block over. His name was Trevor. Trevor didn't know Ava. Didn't know us. But he knew Margaret. She'd hired him. Paid him. Not just once. Several times. To watch the house. To deliver things. To take things. She moved out of her house, yes, but not far. She was staying at her sister's place. Just a few miles away. She was still orchestrating everything. Still watching. Still using someone else to do what she no longer could. They arrested Trevor that same night. Found 3 more toy phones in his apartment. One had a file named ave_voice.mp3. Another had burned rope in a plastic bag. Evidence. Actual evidence. Claire cried when the officer told us. Ava didn't say anything. She just went out to the swing, sat down, and rocked slowly in the dark. The next day, we woke up to something wild. A line of boxes stacked neatly on our front porch. Dozens of them. No return address. Just labels that said, "For Ava." Letters. Toys. Books. Messages from people around the country. "You inspired us. My daughter watched your video and cried. You're stronger than most adults." But not every box was kind. Mixed in the pile was a plain black envelope. No handwriting. Just tape. Inside? A note that said, "She isn't done." That's when Ava made her second video. She sat on the porch, held the black envelope up to the camera, and said, "You sent a letter to scare me. But I'm still here." Then she pointed to the swing. "And it's still here too." The video hit 5 million views in one day. The house became a zoo. Reporters, cameramen, people leaving gifts on the porch, strangers driving by to see the swing. Some even cried when they saw Ava sitting there. But I wasn't comfortable. Because if Margaret still had people doing her work, then we weren't safe. I made a decision. One Ava didn't expect. One that might end everything. I didn't tell Ava. I didn't tell Claire either. That morning, while they were eating breakfast, I grabbed the black envelope and drove to the address the officer gave me. Margaret's sister's house. It was just 15 minutes away, tucked on a wooded street behind a retirement community. Quiet. Too quiet. A one-story ranch with faded paint and a rusting car in the driveway. I parked across the street. Watched for a few minutes. Then I got out. I wasn't planning to yell. I wasn't even sure what I was planning to do. But I was done waiting for this woman to make another move. The door was opened by a tired-looking woman with a headscarf. Margaret's sister. She looked at me like she already knew why I was there. "Is she here?" I asked. "She's not supposed to be," the woman said. "But yes. She's in the back room. Hasn't left since the video went viral again." I held up the envelope. "This came yesterday." She nodded slowly. "You should come in." The house smelled like dust and old perfume. Photos lined the walls, kids, grandkids, vacations. Nothing about it screamed evil. Then she opened the hallway door and pointed. "She won't talk to me. Maybe she'll talk to you." I stepped inside. Margaret sat in a rocking chair in a dim room with the blinds shut. She didn't look up. She just rocked. I waited. Then said, "You sent another threat." She didn't move. "You paid someone to harass a child." She smiled. "Just barely." "She shouldn't be here," she said. "None of you should." "Why?" I asked. "Why us?" She looked at me then. Eyes glassy, full of something between rage and regret. "My son died in that yard," she whispered. I froze. "What?" She turned back to the window. 1988, he was 8. Playing with a friend. They found a rusted swing set someone left behind. The chain snapped. He fell. Hit his head. Died on impact. I didn't know what to say. She kept rocking. I bought the house across the street after the divorce. I thought, if I could see the place, maybe I'd feel closer to him. But then you put up that swing. And every day, your girl looked like his ghost. I stepped back. "So you decided to hurt her?" "She doesn't belong there," Margaret muttered. "She's a child." She made the world look at me. I didn't answer. I just dropped the envelope on the table. "She's not scared of you," I said. "You lost. You just don't know it yet." I turned and left. That night, Ava's video hit 10 million. But the real twist came the next morning. When someone knocked on our door. A man in a suit. Early 40s. Holding a folder. "Are you the family with the swing?" I nodded. He said, "I represent a foundation that helps victims of child-targeted harassment. We want to make an offer." "What kind of offer?" "We'd like to relocate your family, pay off your mortgage, and build a replica of your swing in a protected park, with Ava's name on it." I just stared. He smiled and added, "And we'll take care of the cameras." We didn't take the offer. Claire wanted to badly. She said, "We could start fresh. We could be done with this." But Ava was the one who said no. She looked at us across the dinner table and said, "If we move, they win again." I didn't know how to argue with that. So we stayed. The man in the suit left his card. Said the offer would stay on the table. But I could already tell he thought we were making a mistake. Maybe we were. But it was ours to make. 3 days later, around 4 a.m., our smoke alarms went off. I ran downstairs barefoot and opened the back door. The tree was on fire. Not just a small blaze. The entire lower trunk was lit. Flames licking up the rope of Ava's swing. Sparks flying into the air like angry wasps. Claire grabbed Ava and ran out the front. I took the garden hose and sprayed like a man possessed. The flames hissed and spat, but the hose wasn't enough. A neighbor saw the glow and called the fire department. They got it out before it reached the house, but not before it destroyed everything: the swing, the camera, even part of the side fence. The cedar seat split and blackened, melted rope dangling like vines from hell. Ava stood on the sidewalk in pajamas, hugging her stuffed bear, watching the tree smoke like a dying monster. She didn't cry. Not this time. The police came again. So did the fire marshal. They confirmed it: gasoline poured at the base. Intentional. They questioned Trevor, the man Margaret paid. He had an alibi, locked up, still in jail. That only meant one thing. Margaret had someone else. Someone even closer. The next day, Claire's friend Erin, who worked part-time at the post office, called with something strange. She said one of the delivery clerks had flagged a P.O. box registered under a fake name. That P.O. box had been receiving shipments of the exact toy phones. Erin managed to get a picture of the person picking them up. It was Margaret's niece. A woman in her 30s. We'd never seen her. But she had been in town for months, living nearby. She was the one who set the fire. That night, I sat Ava down and told her the truth. This might not stop for a while. She nodded. Then I'll keep talking. She wasn't kidding. She made a new video. This one was different. No swing behind her. Just ash and burned bark. My swing is gone again, she said. Someone set it on fire. But I'm still here. And I'm not going anywhere. The video was raw. Short. Honest. It hit harder than the first two. Overnight, a lawyer reached out. Offered help pro bono. Then a security company offered to install full surround cameras. For free. Then the city council reached out. Jamestown wanted to designate the trees on our lot as protected landmarks. Even after the fire. Even after everything. People were choosing her side. But the real shift came when an old man showed up at our door. He introduced himself as Peter. Said he used to be Margaret's neighbor back in the 1980s, before she moved across from us. I think I know why she went after you, he said. And it wasn't just about her son. He handed me a file. Old newspaper clippings. A journal entry. A police report from 1988. And what I read in there changed everything. I sat on the edge of my bed and read it once. Then again. Then a third time just to be sure I wasn't losing my mind. Peter had kept these files in a locked trunk. He said he found them after his wife died, tucked inside an old photo album. He wasn't sure if he should come forward until he saw Ava's latest video. The headline was from a small local paper, dated June 17, 1988. Boy dies in backyard swing accident. Police call it tragic misuse of abandoned equipment. The boy's name was Caleb Fanning. Margaret's son. The report described a rusted metal swing set left behind in the overgrown lot between two houses. Kids had been warned not to play there. Caleb, 8 years old, was with another child, Joseph Linney, age 9. Here's what made my stomach twist. Joseph was the one who pushed the swing. But that's not what caused Caleb to fall. He didn't fall from the swing. He was pushed off it. The report had been partially redacted, but the investigator wrote that Joseph eventually admitted he got angry during an argument and shoved Caleb. He wasn't charged, too young, they said, and the evidence was murky. But the conclusion was clear. Not an accident. Not mechanical failure. A shove. A fall. Death on impact. That was the part Peter wanted me to see. But there was more. In Margaret's personal journal entry, scrawled and angry, she'd written, "It was murder. And no one cared." They let the Linneys stay. They let him grow up like nothing happened. So I moved. I had to. But I watched them for years. And when I couldn't watch them anymore, I found others to. The Linneys. That was the family who used to own our house. The swing we put up? It wasn't just a reminder of her dead son. It was a trigger. It was the exact spot where her boy died. She hadn't been targeting Ava because of who Ava was. She was targeting Ava because of where Ava was. Claire sat on the floor, staring at the file, her mouth half open. Ava sat beside her quietly, just listening. And I said the thing we all were thinking. She doesn't see Ava. She sees Caleb. And she thinks we're the Linneys. The next few days blurred together. Margaret's niece was arrested. They had footage now, clear as day, from the security system the company installed. She poured gas around the tree, lit it, and walked away. Not a mask. Not a disguise. Her bail was denied. Margaret herself was taken into protective custody for a psychological evaluation. She was no longer just a bitter old woman, she was delusional, unstable, and directing others to do her bidding. But that wasn't the end. Because the house across the street, the one Margaret left behind, sold within a week. And guess who moved in? Joseph Linney. I saw the name on the mailbox one morning and nearly dropped my coffee. He was older now, in his 40s. Lived out of state. Didn't even realize what house it was until after the sale was final. Said he just wanted a quiet place to retire early and raise his stepdaughter. He had no idea what happened to Margaret. No idea that she'd been watching him all this time. No idea that she thought Ava was his child. Claire didn't want me to tell him. But I did. He stood there on his new porch and just crumbled. "She never came to me," he said. "Never said a word. And all this time." He looked across the street. "At our yard. At the charred tree. I didn't push him. I swear." He lost his grip. "It wasn't me." He said it like it mattered now. But it was too late. Margaret was gone. The past was ashes. The swing was gone. But Ava? She was still there. And that meant the story wasn't over yet. A week after Joseph Linney moved in, Ava asked me something I wasn't ready for. "Can I build the next swing myself?" She stood out in the yard, feet in the grass, eyes on the burnt stump of what was once her favorite place. She wasn't crying. She hadn't cried in weeks. But I could see the weight in her face. That kind of quiet weight you shouldn't see on a kid. I said yes. We went to the lumber yard together. She picked the plank. Helped me cut it. She tied the knots this time, after I showed her 3 times. She wanted to do every part herself. The new swing wasn't perfect. It leaned a little. The rope was a touch uneven. But when she sat on it, she smiled. We hung it from the one tree that survived. The other tree, the one that burned, was removed by the city. They offered to plant a new one in its place. Ava said no. She wanted the space open. By now, Margaret was committed to a long-term facility. Diagnosed with severe delusional disorder, paranoia, and obsessive trauma. She wouldn't stand trial. Her niece would. She pled guilty to arson, harassment, and trespassing. She'll be in prison for a while. As for Joseph Linney? He came over one afternoon with a box in his hands. Inside were old photos, some of Caleb. Some of the yard. One of the swing that had killed him. He looked me in the eye and said, "I didn't push him. I've lived with that lie most of my life. But I didn't correct it. Not publicly. Maybe that makes me part of what happened to your daughter." I didn't say anything. He left the box on our porch and walked back across the street. That night, I burned the photos in our fire pit. All except one. A photo of a little boy smiling on a swing. You couldn't tell what year it was. Could have been Ava, if not for the haircut. We kept that one. Claire framed it. Ava hung it next to her bed. And the final video Ava made? It wasn't angry. It wasn't about revenge. It was simple. She sat on her new swing, looked into the camera, and said, "Bad people tried to scare me. They burned my swing. But I made a new one. And I'm still here." That video hit 15 million views. But that wasn't the point anymore. The real win wasn't the views. It was what came after. Letters. Thousands of them. Kids who had been bullied. Parents of children with anxiety. Teachers who wanted to show Ava's videos to their students. And one letter, no return address, written on old yellow paper. It said, "I'm sorry. I see now. I hope you swing forever." We think it came from Margaret. I hope it did. We never asked for this story. We didn't want to be symbols. But it happened. And now the world knows Ava. The girl who swung through hell and came out stronger. We're still in Jamestown. Same house. Same yard. One less tree. But the swing is still there. And Ava? She's still flying.